Manifestation is often misunderstood as just thinking positive thoughts. But from a neuroscience perspective, manifestation is about how the brain filters reality, forms identity, and predicts outcomes. Your brain is not a passive observer of reality, it is a prediction machine. 1. Your brain filters reality, reticular activating system. At any moment, your brain processes millions of bits of information, but you consciously perceive only a tiny fraction. The reticular activating system, RAS, acts as a filter. It decides what is important based on what you repeatedly focus on. If you constantly think, "I'm unlucky, relationships never work out, money is hard to keep," your RAS scans for evidence to confirm that belief. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because your brain prioritizes what matches your internal story. When you intentionally focus on opportunity, love, expansion, possibility, your RAS begins filtering for those patterns instead. This is why awareness shifts feel like reality shifts. 2. Beliefs become neural pathways, neuroplasticity. Every repeated thought strengthens a neural connection. Neurons that fire together wire together. If you think "I'm not good enough" for years, that pathway becomes efficient and automatic. It becomes your default self-concept. But the brain is plastic, meaning it can change. When you intentionally repeat, "I am chosen, I am secure, money flows easily to me, I am deeply valued," you are not lying to yourself. You are building new neural circuitry. At first, the brain resists because it prefers familiar pathways. But repetition plus emotion plus consistency eventually shift the dominant wiring. Manifestation is not magic, it's neural conditioning. 3. The brain predicts your future based on identity. Your brain operates on predictive coding. It constantly asks, based on who I believe I am, what should happen next? If your identity is, "I'm the one who gets left," "I struggle financially," "success is for other people," your nervous system subtly guides your behavior to match that identity. You may tolerate less in relationships, undercharge, avoid visibility, self-sabotage opportunities, not consciously, but because the brain seeks consistency between identity and experience. When you shift identity to, "I am chosen, I am secure, I am successful, I am valuable," your decisions begin to align differently. You act differently, you notice different opportunities, you tolerate different standards. The outer change follows the internal update. 4. The nervous system determines what you allow. You cannot manifest what your nervous system perceives as unsafe. If deep down success feels overwhelming, if love feels unstable, if wealth feels risky, your body will unconsciously resist it. The amygdala, threat detection center, activates when something feels unfamiliar. Even positive change can trigger stress if it's outside your conditioning. That's why regulation matters: breathwork, visualization, repetition, embodiment. When you repeatedly imagine your desired reality in a calm state, your nervous system begins coding it as familiar instead of threatening. Familiar equals safe, safe equals allowed. 5. Visualization activates the same neural networks as experience. Brain scans show that vividly imagining an experience activates many of the same neural pathways as physically living it. This is why athletes use mental rehearsal. When you visualize being loved securely, receiving money confidently, living peacefully, you are pre-training your brain. The brain does not strongly distinguish between imagined rehearsal and physical repetition. Over time, the imagined state becomes neurologically normal, and the brain moves toward what feels normal. 6. Confirmation bias is powerful. Once you adopt a belief, your brain seeks evidence for it. If you believe, "Nothing works for me," you'll notice every delay and ignore every small win. If you believe, "Everything is always working out," you'll interpret events differently. Same world, different interpretation. Manifestation is not about controlling every event. It's about shaping the lens through which events are perceived and therefore how you respond. 7. Emotion signals the brain that something is important. Emotion strengthens memory encoding. When you affirm with feeling, not force, you increase the likelihood that the brain integrates the belief. Gratitude, excitement, relief, calm certainty. These emotional states accelerate neural rewiring. This is why robotic repetition without embodiment feels flat. The nervous system must feel safe and aligned with the new belief. So is manifestation just psychology? Not exactly. It's psychology, neuroscience, behavioral change, perception shifts, identity evolution, and nervous system regulation, all interacting at once. When your internal world changes, your behavior changes, your tolerance changes, your standards change, your focus changes, your energy changes. And the external world responds to the version of you that shows up. You are not forcing reality. You are training your brain to expect a different one, and then acting from that expectation. Core truth. Your brain does not argue with repetition, your nervous system does not argue with familiarity, your identity does not argue with evidence. Change those three, and your reality reorganizes around the new version of you.